Gentlemen, may I have your attention, please? The show starts in 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Go. 2.
You are muted.
All right, sorry about that. Bells and bells. What's going on, everybody? Your boy Man Up here. We got a good show for you, but I don't know about Cedric, man. You know, something's up with him today. But with that being said, we got a great show for everybody. I hope y'all sit back, get y'all popcorn ready, get ready to enjoy this show because we got a special guest lined up for you. Let's go ahead and bring my tag team partners in. How y'all doing today? How y'all fellas doing?
Good, brother. Good. How you doing?
I can't complain.
I just want to point out that Man Up sucks eggs. Just saying.
Well, you're going to have to show us what that means later.
If you know the reference, you know the reference. If you know, you know. If you don't, then you need to do your history. I'm just saying.
Oh no, I know the reference. I just don't understand how. Never mind. You know what?
Exactly. Don't question it. Just go with it.
Oh man! All right, so we got a special one for you today. Let's go ahead and talk about this one. What we got going on today, fellas?
Well, so this is very exciting. We love to bring professional wrestlers on here, people within the business. As to me, it's very exciting. And it is, a treat, hopefully, for our base out there, the people that are watching us too. It's not just doing entertaining shows, talking about professional, actually bringing professional wrestlers on here. And we're so privileged and so blessed to have her on here today. She's been making a lot of news all over the South. Great independent professional wrestler. Most recently appearing on EPW in North Mississippi, which is an incredible professional wrestling company up there with great television, a great presence on YouTube. I believe they're on Roku now. Getting out there, making waves. And here at Bells and Belts, we definitely support independent wrestling and independent wrestlers. So we want to bring her on tonight. She's somebody that's on social media herself, promoting everything that she's doing. But she's, she's not just a great professional wrestler. She's not just always representing women's wrestling, but she is Jodie, just Jodie.
Welcome aboard.
What is up? I may have to hire you. You may have to go on the road with me. I think that was the best introduction I've ever gotten. That was good.
Have your own personal ring announcer.
Hey.
I love it. It's amazing. I love it.
We could be just Jodie and Joey.
Well, Gary is blowing up my inbox all the time, telling me to come back to the business. Unfortunately, now I live up in Virginia, so that would really.
Awesome. Hey, money talks.
That's true. That's true.
Absolutely. Thanks for joining us. We want this all to be about you. We want to know your story, whatnot. But one thing that we like to know from the wrestlers that we bring on is you're naturally interested into the business, but into your first introduction into wrestling. What's your first wrestling memory that you could think of?
Okay, so it's very it sticks out in my mind very vividly. When I was 8, 9 years old, my stepdad, who is also named Joey, I have him to thank for my love of professional wrestling. Like, it wouldn't be there if he had never entered my life or my family's life. So Joey's a big wrestling fan. We get satellite TV, which was a big deal.
Absolutely.
So he can watch wrestling.
I mean, who doesn't?
Right?
I don't know nobody.
So one night I was in trouble. I don't remember what I was in trouble for. Believe it or not, I was a very good kid. So
That's what they all say.
Well, it was true. But I remember that I was in trouble, and so I was quote unquote grounded. And so I was not supposed to be watching TV or anything like that. But I was sitting at our kitchen table doing my homework, and I could see the TV from where I was. And I remember distinctly Victoria and Trish Stratus were on an episode of Monday Night Raw.
Okay.
And from then, I was hooked. I was like, okay, what is this? What is Joey watching? I need to watch this as well. And so the rest of that night, I'm like peeking over like the chairs, like looking at the TV like this. And just from then on, I think it was Monday Night Raw. I think SmackDown was on Tuesday nights back when I first started watching.
Okay.
TNA was on Spike.
Okay.
We watched it all. And so that was my first very vivid wrestling memory.
Awesome. Shout out to everybody who's watching us tonight on YouTube, our Facebook group, and Champions Book Club. Yep, there we go. We'll say hi to a couple of folks. Let's say hi to a couple of folks, then we'll come back to it. Come back to Jodie real quick.
And we want to make mention too, like for you guys watching right now, this is a great time. Go ahead and bring up questions if you have questions for her while you have her on here.
Exactly.
Things you may want to know, because there's a lot of things I don't think there's always the regular questions, but there's a lot of things I don't think people think about that you may want to ask a professional wrestler. Great time to do that. What's up, Nesha? Go ahead and bring that stuff up. Go ahead and drop it in the comments, and we'll bring it up in between what's going on. Jared Jobber in the house.
Absolutely. Yeah. We have the generic jobber. You know, he's truly legit. You know,
Doesn't even give StreetYard access to see his name.
Exactly. So we definitely put him over there, Joey. We definitely put him over.
All right.
So going off of what you already said there, who would you say, like, you talked about Victoria Trish Stratus. Who else would you say was big inspirations for you coming up that you were a big fan of watching?
Oh, I wanted to be Lita, and I wanted to be Trish Stratus. Like I wanted to be them. When I was in the 7th grade, I wrote a paper about how Trish Stratus was my hero and how I was going to be her when I grew up.
That's awesome.
So definitely them. Now, as I got older, I kind of shifted away from Lita, because I was like, okay, you're jumping off of lots of things, and that's not me. I was built close to the ground, so I think that I'm going to be close to the ground.
I like that. I like that.
When I was a kid, I was a big John Cena stan. Oh,
okay.
The man did no wrong. When Carlito stabbed him in a kidney in the nightclub, I was devastated. I cried. Back then, I was like, it's so real. I was like, my future husband is now, did I think I wanted to wrestle like John Cena or be like John Cena? No. But I knew I was always very into like the kind of like your anti-divas. So I think that's kind of why Lita probably stuck out the most to me back then, was because she was so different. She wasn't your tall, blonde, typical what was on TV. And just so being different was, when I was watching wrestling, that was what hooked me. And Victoria, same thing. She was, oh gosh. Sometimes I get mad at Jesus for not building me just like give me a foot, maybe not even a foot, maybe just like 3 or 4 inches. If I was 3 or 4 more inches tall, I would conquer the world. because they were just Victoria, Lita, they were just different. Jazz, Gail Kim, they really stuck out when I was watching.
Awesome. I don't know if you caught it. We were blessed to have Jazz on the show. She's an absolute gem. I saw this past weekend. So yeah, awesome, good stuff. Definitely someone definitely to pattern after. Absolutely.
So you mentioned you watched TNA as well, and you just mentioned Gail Kim. I'm wondering if you kind of enjoyed that whole process of like when the Knockouts division started up too. That was something I'm a huge fan of too. Was the Knockouts really, I think don't get the credit they deserve for really bringing the women's wrestling revolution to what it would become later.
I agree. I completely agree. Because those women, they were doing it to it over there. People like ODB, like they were not holding back at all. It was
Awesome Kong too, being so strong and large compared to everyone else. Like everybody's just bumping for her. Like that's incredible.
So I got one for you. So looking back, you brought up Trish, Lita, Jazz, and all of them, which was some of my favorite back in those days as well. What did you think about women's wrestling at that particular moment in those times? Did you like it? Did you not like it? Was it in? Was it like it could be better or what? What was your thoughts?
Okay. So are you asking from from Jodie's perspective now? Or from baby Jodie's perspective then?
Well, yeah, then and now.
Okay, so then it was the greatest thing I'd ever seen. Like I'd never seen anything like it before, so it was phenomenal. Jodie now, when I go back, I'm like, these women could have done so much more with their, minute and a half of TV time. And they took everything they were given and ran with it. And so I really respect them for that. Without them and without them making the most of what they had, there wouldn't be women's wrestling today. Like it wouldn't be anywhere close to what it is. Do I go back and watch it? Not very much. Not very much.
That's a good one.
Not very much. I like to go back and watch older stuff. I usually skip the divas. Just because you can really tell when they started to put more emphasis into, okay, we need these women to actually be the superstars. We need them to be the wrestlers. We don't need eye candy.
Bingo.
And so when that shift started, that's when I'm like, okay, so this is probably all right.
That's what I was hinting at, and I'm glad you hit the nail on the head on that one, because back then it was more eye candy. Now it's more talent. And so with that being said, where would you rank yourself among the talent of today's female wrestlers?
Where would I put amongst now?
Yeah. It's like who would you want your dream opponent to be? Let me word it like that. Let me word it like that instead.
Ooh, my dream opponent.
Oh, she got to think about it.
Ooh. I would love to step in the ring with Mickie James.
Awesome.
Nice.
Very nice.
Because I think she came in right when that shift was kind of like starting to happen. And then she just plowed on through, and I would really love to step in the ring with her.
Awesome. Good stuff. Good
stuff. Going. There's a good one.
That's a very good one. I saw that one. You have any favorite Joshi wrestlers? Are you familiar with any of the Japanese legends from Generic Jobber?
So you're going to be upset with me because that's going to be a no.
Okay. Fair enough. Fair enough.
Just being
right.
honest. I don't watch a lot of the Joshi stuff.
Dave Meltzer will be mad more than anybody.
I'm just yeah.
Every time. Him and Kenny Omega.
He's
Yeah.
always mad.
Okay. But I'll caveat your statement with this one here, because over the last I will say over the last 6-7 years there are a lot of female wrestlers over to Japan to experience that get their feet wet there and you know having people come over. Was that something that you would potentially entertain if asked, or?
Oh, 100%. 100%. I'll do anything once. So, I mean,
And maybe twice if you like it.
twice.
Exactly.
So yeah, I'm not going to turn down any opportunity that I'm presented with. So if that were to come up, I would 100% jump at the chance.
Okay.
Awesome.
Well, I feel like we're kind of jumping to the end of the conversation. Let's get back to like so
Steer us,
what age
steer us, Joey. Steer
let's
us.
go back to earlier stuff. Like where
Okay.
what age would you say that you kind of got the bug where you thought about training and getting into the business? How old were you when you thought about seriously
So it was something that I always wanted to do. Like from the time that I first started watching, I was like, oh, I want to do that. But where I was in small rural Mississippi, I wasn't sure, how to take those steps. I had no idea that independent wrestling was a thing until I was in like college. And so I actually didn't start like looking around and start trying to figure out if it was something I could potentially actually do until I graduated college.
Okay.
right?
Okay.
Absolutely. Okay. And that's fair because I think like Wes said the same thing about it. And for me personally, like I'm the same way. Did not know independent wrestling was a thing. And I'm from the Delta, like in North Mississippi. So it was the same thing. Like, I'm like, what is this? And I was in high school still. And somebody was like, yeah, we got like a TV show we're doing up here with wrestling and stuff. I was like, what? I'm like, so, but it's really, nowadays, I think like if you live in a bigger area where there's, like if you live where Cedric does in San Antonio, and there's indie wrestling companies all over the place in San Antonio of different types, all women's companies, all kinds of stuff like that, completely different feel. But yeah, when you grow up in a small town in a rural area like that, even when you do get introduced to indie wrestling, sometimes it's kind of like, oh, like, but that kind of get okay. So into that, how did you approach training? How did you find somebody? How did you get into that?
So it was really, I think without social media, I probably wouldn't have done anything. Okay. But because we do live in a social media age and things are so accessible now, I just started looking. Like I Googled training schools, of which there are none or there were none in Mississippi at the time. So I thought, well, okay, I'll just start seeing if there are companies that are in the state that are close that could maybe, train me. And so that's what I did. I was looking just at shows that were going on. Found one, the closest one was 2 hours away. And it was being run by Pro Wrestling Ego. And so I hit them up and was like, I see you got a show. I'd love to come, do a tryout potentially if you do any sort of training or anything like that. And at the time, Jay Andrews who was kind of running and promoting that company. And he told me to come on. So I went, did a tryout and from there, he was like, I know we're going to be a long way. So this is Joey Abel. He lives a lot closer to you.
I remember Joey Abel.
You can train with him. And so it was training with Joey Abel in his backyard for a while. Yeah, my training has been it's been a hot mess.
That's okay.
We made it. We made it. It took a while, but we made it.
So, sorry, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, so go from training in Joey Abel's backyard to then, I was living in South Mississippi at the time. I was about 45 minutes from New Orleans. Elevate Pro was doing some training things over in New Orleans at the time. So I kind of eased out of Joey Abel's backyard and over into a gymnasium. So it was a step up.
Okay.
And did some training with them, and here we are.
Elevate.
Did you know Brian Falcon Minotaur?
I think I met him.
He was
once.
wrestling for Elevate, wasn't he?
Yes, I think I met him maybe once or twice. We probably couldn't recognize each other in a lineup, though.
Yeah, I was gonna say because he's another one. Like, and this is such a common thing too. At least you did bump and get some training, because a lot of these guys, like Wes Adams and Brian, and a lot of these guys literally just started going on the road and had zero training and stuff like that, and learned how to bump in their first match and stuff. And like it's amazing. And even I'm sure even training in a backyard with somebody, you probably questioned a lot through that process. Like, was this something you wanted to continue to do after day one, after week one, after, and stuff like that? Because it takes a lot to keep pushing when you're in environments like that and you're trying to figure out why you want to do this. So after, I guess after that, where did you have your first match at?
I had my first match with Pro Wrestling Ego. They ran a show in McGee, Mississippi. It's like a fundraiser for the high school or something.
Okay.
And so that's where I had my first match. Had it with the Pharaoh of Funk, who was.
Don't even get me started. Anyway, go ahead.
We won't get on that. He was under a hood, and he was, I think, Lady Death or something was what they called him. And so my first 2 or 3 matches actually were with Lady Death.
Oh, Pharaoh, fuck.
I've got some interesting stories about him.
We'll talk about that off of that.
Yeah. Got mad. He's, how small he is. He got mad because wrestled some guys. Do you know who Sal Renaro is? He's on NWA now and stuff.
Yes.
Yeah. He wrestled Sal Renaro in a tag match, and he got blown up wrestling these guys from NWA Wildside, and then got mad because he's an asthmatic. And it's like, so why are you wrestling if you have asthma and shouldn't be doing it? But anyway, I digress. Let's get back to the story. We'll get to that. But
Nestor wants to shoot.
That might have these bells after dark or something. Because
there's lots of shooting that can happen. There's lots of that. But okay, so McGee, Mississippi, I was there at the birth of that being a thing with NWA Battle Zone and everything like that. So I'm very familiar with McGee, Mississippi. So okay, from there, where'd you go on from there? Because I'll say this, let me say this about Pro Wrestling Ego for those who don't know about this. I'm not going to crap on Pro Wrestling Ego. And this is a point I want to make because you work the Mississippi indie scene. You know what these fans want to see. Pro Wrestling Ego, I think, really wanted to bring Northeastern style pro wrestling to the Deep South. And unfortunately, that does not draw in Mississippi. And that's the problem. You can't bring Chikara and old Ring of Honor type stuff and bring that down there because they don't understand that you want to do an 8-person tournament or whatever and have all these guys from all over the South that they've never heard of and they don't know anything about and do this kind of stuff and have all the flippy dippy. The fans in the Deep South, especially in Mississippi and places like that, they don't care about that. And that's another thing I want to ask you, because if you grow up watching WWE, and I saw this happen with a lot of guys and men and women getting into business, was they wanted to do what they saw on TV and bring it to the indies in Mississippi. And again, it's another thing is the fans in Mississippi want their wrestling. They want their heels and baby faces. They want headlocks. They want arm drags. They want They want wrestling. They don't really want sports entertainment like that. They don't want 630s off the top rope. I mean, that's fun every now and again, but no, I'm not knocking Mississippi fans. I'm just saying there's a demographic to this. There's stuff that they like.
It is.
They like heat. They like to boo and they like to cheer. It's not like they don't just react just because you got a cool outfit on or whatever and stuff like that. They like, you got to play to them in an old school way. Exactly. And that's what I was going to say about pro wrestling ego is, did it take you long? Like, if you're being trained with guys like that and they kind of don't get that. And that's what I want to say. Some of those guys really don't understand that, I don't think. And I told Jay that in a private conversation one time. I was like, he's like, man, I just can't figure out why we're not drawing down here. And I'm like, well, I know why, because you're not giving the people what they want. You have to kind of give. And that's what, if I don't want to jump ahead to EPW, but that's what a company like EPW does very well, is they know what their fans want. And that's why they have good crowds and stuff like that. And they have TV because they approach things in the way that, Neil Taylor and all these guys have a real good mind for what the fans of that area want. So I guess I'm trying to turn this around into a question too. It's like, do you kind of see it that way too? I know you're not. Yes. So you get it. Like you get that they want something different, and you can't just bring what you see on Monday Night Raw to, Corinth, Mississippi, Boonville, Mississippi, or anywhere down there for that matter. So, how has that been? That's kind of an interesting thing. Did you kind of have to feel that out too as you kind of started working?
Yes. Because you hit the nail like right on the head. Like I've not been to many other states. I've wrestled in Arkansas and I'll be wrestling in Alabama here this next month. Nice. But wrestling in Mississippi is completely different from wrestling anywhere else.
It is.
Yeah.
It is.
And like to go back to the diva conversation, several of your small rural towns, when they see women's wrestling, that's what they want. They want the eye candy. They don't want women's wrestling. They want, like you said, they want the wrestling.
Yeah.
Like we recently did a show here in the town that I currently live in. And I had a lady come up and tell me, she said, I've never seen women wrestle before. I said, well, honey, you must watch it tonight. So it's very different, and it can be very, very challenging as a woman, because there are, I think it's 3 companies that run this little area where I am, but none of them have a women's division. Several of them have tried to start one, and then they have them for 1 or 2 shows. The women get no reaction. They don't bring them back. And it's just, so it's hard. It's very tough.
I think you guys, and I think where you're at too, like that area still, you see a lot more women in the business now. I don't think, it doesn't look to me like y'all have a ton of women in the business down there either. And so that was the same 20 plus years ago when I was in the business. You're lucky to find an opponent for a woman sometimes. And that's the hard part is you probably, I'm sure you work the same 2 or 3 women like a lot of the time.
I think that Maddie, the American Baddie, and I are just destined to do this forever. Forever.
Yeah. When I was down there, like the women that was on the cards were promoters' kids or friend of a promoter or something like that, because they wanted to have that special attraction type match. So it's truly something that they're really missing the boat on, especially with all the hype of the explosion of women's wrestling in the last 10 years. Whatnot is you're missing the boat on this by not seeking out and or developing that level of talent for your promotion.
I agree.
And like you said, they're so stuck in the past. They probably are still used to what they saw on Glow back in the 80s. Some of them where it's like hair mares and know, it's like you said, it's more eye candy. It's not, you guys are wrestling. You guys are doing the same stuff. You guys are taking hard bumps. You guys are, it's not like that, like it was, back then or even then. And women, I mean, like even when you compare women today to where, they were during that era, especially in the Divas era, the expectation for women in the business is the same. They expect you to be polished. They expect you to, promoters do especially. And then as you are expanding, like you're talking about, you're hitting other states, you're getting booked elsewhere and stuff like that. And you're trying to get more eyes on you and exposure and expand and stuff like that in those expectations, like that. But like you said, you still hit these towns where they're still used to hair mares and like silly spots and stuff like that, and you guys don't, it's like, we don't do that in 2024. I heard you say something last night about doing some training or work with Tom Pritchard.
Yes. So one of my goals was, I was like, one of these days I'm going to train with Dr. Tom. And when he opened his school, the JPWA up in Knoxville, I was like, oh, this is my shot. My career outside of wrestling kind of prohibits being away for 12 weeks at a time. So I had done a seminar with him previously. And so I just messaged him and asked. I was like, hey, Dr. Tom, I'd love to come spend some time training with you over the summer, if that's something that we could work out. I said, I can't, do the whole school, but if you've got a class, I'd love to drop in and do whatever those guys are doing. And he said yes. And I was like, I'm packing the bag. I'm booking an Airbnb. I'll be there. And so I spent this last June, I drove up and spent this last June training with Dr. Tom twice a day, most days, doing he does an advanced class for some of his kids who are not kids, but some of the guys who have graduated. And then he had his regular JPWA class. And so I'd hit the advanced class and I'd just stay for the regular class. And it was honestly one of the biggest blessings, and one of the things that I'm most thankful for, because honestly, if I had not taken that month to do that, because I was ready to give up on wrestling, I really was. I had taken a break, and I was, I had access to a ring, so I was getting in there and bumping every now and then, and I was just, I was thinking, this is never going to happen for me. It just wasn't meant to be. It was fun while it lasted, but it's never going to be what I wanted. And so when Dr. Tom told me that I could come up there, I was like, okay, if I don't die, Tom doesn't tell me that I'm, awful. And if he doesn't say, you really shouldn't be doing this, kid, then when I get back, I'm putting the pedal to the floor and we're going to make this thing work. And here we are making it work.
Good stuff.
Nice.
Love to hear it. From where you let's do that. The best advice Dr. Tom Pritchard gave you.
Ooh, I tell you, Dr. Tom, he says lots of things. Right here, I may have written it down. Hold on.
There you go.
I have right here, and I even put a little heart by it. He always says, don't do it until you can't get it right. Do it until you can't get it wrong. And I really like that. That was good. And he was very helpful with everything. I told him that he had given me PTSD because at the seminar we had done, he yelled at me constantly for, I think it was a drop toe hold that I kept screwing up and I would roll the wrong way. And so he kept screaming at me. And so I told him, I said, Dr. Tom, you gave me PTSD. And when we finally fixed that drop toe hold and I did it right, he said, what's the problem now? I was like, well, I don't know. We'll find a new one. But I do. That's why I wrote it down. Don't do it until you can't get it right. Do it until you can't get it wrong. I even do that when I'm in the gym. I'm like, okay, we're just going to keep doing it until we can't get it wrong anymore. We're going to do this movement until it's perfect, until it's crisp, it's clean, it's flawless.
Practically muscle memory.
Yes.
It'll come so naturally.
I was going to point out something too, and it's amazing you did that. Went all the way up there to Knoxville to do that and spent the better part of a month up there. But one thing I want to point out, and I'm sure you'll be able to expand on this. Guys like Joey Abel and these guys, they can teach you how to bump. They can't teach you the business, and that's what that I'm sure Tom Pritchard, it teaches you so much differently, because these guys down there, all they've done is literally that. What they've done in Mississippi and these little indie shows. That's the expanse of most of those guys' careers down there. But a guy like Tom Pritchard has done it at every level. Like he's, been a champion in WWE. This is a guy that's, big star in Smoky Mountain Wrestling, big star on the territories over the years. So he's literally worked at every level. Exactly. And so I'm sure you could agree and expand on this, but like a guy like that gives you so much more than just teaching you how to bump.
He really does. He was very helpful on like defining who Jodie is.
Yeah.
Because that was the first thing he asked me. He was like, "Okay, who are you?" And so I'm Jodie. I said, "And?" He said, "Why do I care about Jodie?" I was like, "I don't know." He's like, "Well, who is Jodie?" I said, "Well, me. I'm Jodie." He's like, "Yeah, but I don't care about you. Who are you?" And that took a long time. To like finally develop, okay, well, I'm Jodie. I'm just me. I'm just gonna do whatever I need to do. I'm gonna get in the ring. I'm gonna fight. I'm just gonna win, and then I'm gonna go home. I'm gonna take my money, and then I'm gonna go to bed.
There you go.
Nice.
So I think somebody had a question about Nesha had a question about where all you've wrestled for, and that's kind of a good lead into another part.
Exactly. Yeah. Like, I know you said that you traveled not traveled you went up to Knoxville at the time. Is that the furthest distance you traveled to for professional wrestling? Or
It is.
Okay. And outside of that, for a particular show on a particular day, what further you traveled to for a show? Because that's part of that doggone grind on the indie scene.
Well, so far, 4 hours is my magic number.
Okay.
I wrestled for APW in Marianna, Arkansas, 4 hours from my house. Okay. EPW most weekends, 4 hours from my house. I'll be wrestling for New Era in Alabama, 4 hours from my house.
Okay.
Yeah.
So far I'm sticking with 4 hours.
Okay.
Pretty consistent.
That's a haul, though, I tell you, and I think that's one of those things that people don't talk about working in the business is, after you get done with a show and you get to the show early, you get there, you help set up. Sometimes you do a lot, especially on the indies, you do a lot of setting up, you do a lot of tearing down, you do a lot of things like that, especially when you're brand new to the business. But, if you can, you do all that stuff. Then after the show is over, sometimes you're hanging out a couple of hours, you're doing stuff. Then you got to drive home if you don't, so that 4 hours in the middle of the night driving home is something else, I'll tell you. And I've been on interstates myself all over Mississippi and sometimes don't remember how I got home.
Of energy drinks and gummy worms and deer going by the side of the road. It's just all
literally.
Yeah. I remember I went to Nashville from where I lived, and that was I don't remember if that was 4.5 hours or whatever, just for an opportunity for no money originally, just to get up there. And this was when Burt Prentice was like the promoter up there, and it was NWA Worldwide and stuff. And that was my shot to get on their TV, I remember. And I was like, about to have to fund this trip and then drive home because I can't afford a hotel and I can't, and drive the whole way back. But that's something I don't think a lot of people see that side. And
exactly, man.
And so when you get to wrestle in your hometown, it's amazing.
Oh,
you
it
don't
was
mind
great.
doing everything and setting up everything because you're there. Like,
Mhm.
you can go home and take a shower before the show. You can
Right. Like so I was recently with Legacy Championship Wrestling in Seminary, Mississippi, 6 minutes from my house. I was like, this is great. This is great. I was like, let's do
Can we do this every weekend? Like,
Yeah.
And
then
right.
it was like I didn't have the 4 hours to like get my mind right. I don't know.
Yeah.
It doesn't feel right.
Yeah.
No, it was the drive home. Perfect.
Love it.
So
There you go.
so does so EPW being especially more having TV and stuff like that. How's that adjustment been? Especially getting up there and kind of, I mean, they seem like, the houses aren't huge, but they're rowdy and there's a lot of people in these buildings and stuff like that, and they got a good crowd and it's TV. So it's a lot more exposure. And how's that been?
Oh, it's been fantastic. Just in like the few months I've been there, they've made so many steps to improve their product and improve just their company as a whole. It was a big transition for me. I've never worked TV. So like trying to keep in mind like camera angles and where all of that stuff's going down. But they are putting in work up there, like lots of work. They've got the YouTube channel, the Roku app. They just signed like these big contracts with TV stations in Alabama, newer TV stations in northern Mississippi. So they're making big moves, and I'm just happy to be a part of it.
Good stuff.
Yeah, I know. I've noticed too, like because again, I know all those guys up there, and I'm gonna ask you about some of them in just a minute. But I noticed they've tried to expand. They've you see them doing like they did like the Comic-Cons and stuff like that. They've really tried to expand. Is that something they're thinking about doing too? Like if they with the TV in Alabama putting on more shows out that way and stuff. I wonder, are they thinking about that, or do you know about that? I wonder.
I'm not sure. I wouldn't put anything past them. But like I said, I show up and I wrestle and I go home.
What are your thoughts on Neil Taylor? Because he's the owner, right? Like he's the principal, like the main owner of the company. Now I knew him back in the day when he was actively competing.
Real deal, Neil Taylor.
Yes, real deal, Neil Taylor. He's the boss man. That's it. That's his original baby up there. But he's, he was always a good guy, and he's wrestled everybody. Like he's wrestled Jerry Lawler a bunch of times. Like he's a lot. Every time, he's a guy that when they brought in names to the Mid-South and stuff like that, he was a guy that they always like to work against because he was always a really safe guy in the ring and really able to get good matches with these guys and stuff like that. How is he?
Oh, he's fantastic. He gives me he helps me a lot. He gives me a lot of good advice. He'll sit us down after a match and be like, okay, we need to work on this, this, and this. And, yes, sir. Got it. We'll work on it for next time. He is very business driven and business focused, and I think it shows in his product.
Yes.
Like even production value, he does everything he can to step up the production value each and every show. He's very good at what he does. Very good at what he does.
Yeah. And then we talked about him off camera, but Gary, my good buddy, formerly, Izzy Rotten, and amongst other gimmicks, he had a lot of gimmicks. At one time, Nesha, you'll remember him as Special Ed. Like used to, he had, which I don't think we can. He did that gimmick on Memphis Wrestling a couple of years back, and I'm like, man, I'm not sure if that's okay, PG enough or PC enough to do anymore. But he was super over in Greenville, Mississippi, when that was like the hottest show in Mississippi at the time and stuff. So how is he? Because I know you said he's one of the main bookers there.
Oh, he's good. He's good.
Why? No, I'm just kidding.
No, he is. So I really think he played a big hand in actually like getting me some dates up there. So I'm very appreciative to him for that and appreciative of him for, taking a chance on me, because at the time I had just those few matches with the Pharaoh under the hood or whatever he was called. And then I had one other match, and that was it. And got connected with Gary and with EPW, and they were like, "Come on, we're gonna see what you can do." And so he's side by side with Neil every weekend. They're doing anything and everything they can to build that product into something that they're proud of, something that the workers are proud of, that the fans are proud of. They're doing a great job.
Yeah, wow.
Nice.
I don't know if he's watching this, but if he is, you're welcome.
I hope he is too, Gary.
Wow.
Putting them over.
Like about it too. No, but those guys, yeah, I definitely know a lot of those guys for years and years. So I'm glad to see them being so successful and doing less in the ring, but doing a lot behind the scenes to really build it up. And certainly there's a lot of talent. There's a lot of talent to work with up there, and a lot of people definitely wanting to come there. Who all, as far as on the EPW, if somebody hasn't watched that before yourself, besides yourself and Diana Taylor and Maddie, who is, I know we see in the women's division a lot there. Who else do you enjoy watching their matches on EPW when you're backstage or even at the show or later on TV or whatever? Who else kind of inspires you in that company?
I make sure that I am by a monitor and can watch Jason Genesis work. He puts on some incredible matches. So I love to watch Jason work. I love to watch Marco Harris work.
That's current champion, right?
Yes.
Jason Genesis, the former champion.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. They're two that if I am like in the women's locker room and I hear their music hit, I'm like, oh, I gotta go see what they're doing. I just gotta go watch.
Nice.
They're entertaining. They're just so good at what they do. The crowd's behind them. Or well, not behind them in the case of Jason Genesis, but they're fun to watch.
And he's got his wife with him. That was his heater. Mm-hmm. She's very good at doing what she does out there too. So that's really cool. All right. So I guess now would be a good time to pivot into what's your goals from here? Where do you want to take this?
I was interested in getting back to the pedal to the metal.
Oh yeah.
But really, anywhere. Anywhere and everywhere. I recently, I know it's kind of cliche, but I made like a little vision board type thing. Okay. And I put a map of the United States on there. And so I said, this is my goal for like the next year or the next 2 years. And so I've got little pins on there, and I've got red pins for Mississippi, Arkansas, because I wrestled there. The other southeastern states, Tennessee, Florida, Georgia, Alabama, which will get marked off here soon, Louisiana, Texas, anywhere. Mm-hmm. Those are all my little green pins. I'm like, okay, green is go. We got to get there. How we're going to get there? I don't know. Well, we're going to figure it out. We're going to get there.
We're going to have a conversation after the show is over.
Okay. Hey, I'm always down for that.
We'll have a conversation.
But I just want to go. I just want to go. I just want to. I know a lot of people, you have those goals for NWA or you have those goals WWE, AEW, Impact.
Well, I was just going to ask you, but like if you had your choice, like if you could sort of tailor this journey to where you think you would want to wrestle or where you think your style would best work, where would you see yourself going down
I
the road?
would love to wrestle for the NWA. Wrestle for them, wrestle for I'd be down to wrestle for TNA. Now, I'm not gonna turn down WWE or AEW if they give me a ring.
Uh-huh.
Okay, I'm on the way. But NWA, that's my goal. That
Okay.
is where
There you go. That's
I
where you
think
want to be.
they just need a little Jodie. Is all. That's all they need.
Okay. Okay. Good stuff. Good stuff. I love it. I love it. Just goal oriented.
Yep.
I love it.
Well, NWA has a lot of Tom Pritchard's talent there too. Like that's a good connection there. Knoxville's definitely one of their hot spots right now for the NWA. So I know that the NWA Women's World Champion is from her school.
Yes,
I mean his school. Sorry.
I would love to work Kinsey Page. I study Kinsey Page matches. I really enjoy her work. I would love to be in the ring with her.
Cool.
Her
I was
come
actually just going to ask that now, as a wrestler yourself now, with the perspective you have on wrestling and also the landscape of women's wrestling out there that's available now. Who are some of the wrestlers that you kind of watch and sort of
Study and stuff. Yeah.
borrow stuff from, sort of want to sort of mirror a little bit of? Of course, you always want to build your own product, but who are some of the people that are inspiring you right now?
Well, like I said, I really like to watch Kinsey Page. I watch a lot of Jordan Grace. A lot of Jordan, a lot of Tessa Blanchard.
Okay.
Yes. Doing a lot down in Mexico right now, Tessa.
Yes.
Yeah.
I really like your hard hitters. There's a woman over somewhere in England. I'm not good at geography, but somewhere over in England. Millie McKenzie. I really like to watch her work. I know she did some WWE UK stuff. But I found her through like some random European indie company on YouTube or something, and I was like, whoa, okay.
Right on.
And then I watch a lot of like Fit Finley. I love to watch Finley.
Right on.
I've stolen a thing or two from Finley.
Yeah.
Love to watch him. Love to watch like Dean Malenko, old school, Eddie Guerrero, old school, William Regal.
Yeah.
Anybody that's like just ground and pound, nitty gritty. I'm gonna just hit you really, really hard. I really like to watch them and steal from them.
Nice.
Well, borrow from them.
Borrow. Quote.
Yeah, quote.
Yeah, there's I know like I'm a big fan of Deonna Purrazzo is another one, very technical but very hard hitting too. And then but another tag team I'm a big fan of is MK Ultra, Masha Slamovich and Killer Kelly. Another very hard hitting couple of women that aren't afraid to get punched and punch somebody and stuff like that. So there's a lot of that, a lot of women definitely that fit that style kind of out there right now. And like you said, there are a lot of them. Like Kinsey Page, I've been impressed by because I was watching too when she debuted with the NWA and her rise over that year or so where it seemed like she was learning a lot in the ring, but picking it up so fast. And then to the moment where she beats Camille and she's holding the women's world championship. It's like, wow, that happened fast. But I guess it's such a testament to how good she really is and how fast of a come up she really did. Oh, Minoru Suzuki. Jesus Christ. Like,
it's kind of all in the name Murder Grandpa, really.
Yeah.
Freaking godfather of mixed martial arts, too. Like the guy,
it's kind of all in the name.
I noticed there's a lot of comments out there, too. Like I've been looking at.
Yeah, Nesha had a question here. Who's been your favorite opponent up to this point?
I think my favorite opponent is going to have to be Maddie the American Baddie.
Okay.
Probably just because I think we've stood toe to toe many a time over these last few months. And so she presents a challenge. So it's like every time I'm like, okay, I kind of know what she's going to do. So how can I push myself to get her into something different?
Okay.
Try to kind of catch her off guard a little bit because we do know each other so well. in the ring just from being in there with each other so many times. So I'm, trying to think, I'm like, okay, I know she's gonna try to hit me with this. How am I gonna get out of this? So she's a good opponent and she's a good mental game all at the same time.
Cool. We have a few photos that might be a good time to bring up and sort of just go through
Yes.
a few things here. So this is our tribute to Just Jodie.
Okay.
And let's pull this banner down here for a second. This is a day in your life. All right, so we have a few photos here.
Oh, so that's baby Jodie there on the left.
There you go.
That's my little sister there on the right. As you can see, we were devoted. Because these were our family pictures. Like my mother paid for us to take these pictures, and we were like, okay, but we got to wear our John Cena shirt and take our belts with us.
You're in a wrestling family when.
Right. There's another picture of us when we were younger than this, and we had made our own like championship belt. We had gotten a pool table and then like a air hockey table for Christmas.
Nice.
And so we had made the 8-ball championship belt, and we would like Friday nights were okay. Who's stepping up to the plate for who's got the belt?
Nice.
Who's got it? And I've got it this week. Okay, I'm challenging you. So that
Nice.
yeah.
Solid. And we've got the WWE spinner there.
That's it.
Sticking with the Cena theme. Right on.
So
who are we wrestling?
So that is I'm probably gonna mess up her name because it's Spanish. That is Rosa Azulita.
Okay.
I wrestled her at APW in that was my debut at APW in Marianna, Arkansas.
Congrats. Solid. Nice. We have
okay, so we were talking about McGee, Mississippi earlier.
Okay.
This is from my debut match in McGee.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right on. Looks like maybe a little crowd heat going on there. Maybe, I don't know.
A little bit. I don't know what we were doing there. There's no no telling. And so that is, there we are again. That's the Pharaoh of Funk.
Oh, dear Lord.
Under his hood is Lady Death or whatever they call them.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Okay.
Awesome.
So this one was fun. So when I'm not wrestling, I'm a teacher.
Okay.
And this was at a school. I don't teach at this school anymore. But I was a 7th and 8th grade science teacher for this school. And we had a fundraiser.
Okay.
And so the company brought the ring in, charged the kids admission, sold concessions, all this stuff. And so this is after I've won my match there, and I have one of my students their basketball jerseys or something. I don't think I've ever gotten that big of a pop ever, like anywhere else, because it's a K through 8 school, so kindergarten through 8th grade, tiny school. And it was just the kids there, but oh my goodness, they were so loud.
You were the coolest teacher ever.
Coolest teacher ever.
Love
coolest
it.
Teacher. That young guy behind you is losing his mind.
He is. And now I'm a high school teacher, and they don't think I'm as cool.
Of course not. It's high school.
They just don't know yet. Don't know yet.
We recently did Legacy Championship Wrestling did a fundraiser for our softball team.
Okay.
They booed me out of the building.
That's just rude.
Booed me out of the building.
Oh man.
My family had came and they were sitting on the front row, and they could hear the kids talking to Maddie and talking to Trace Hunt, and they were like, they're telling them how much they hate your class and how much you really suck. You're the worst teacher and they really hate you. And I was like, dang, that's tough.
You're coming in with some teacher heat.
Yeah. I go in expecting like, oh, They're gonna love you. Walk out, instant booze. I was like, what the heck?
Mm-mm.
Oh, that had to be emotional.
I was like, you want a bad guy? You got it.
Oh my god, damn.
Yeah, I told him I was going to give them all lunch detention, and that's
Oh,
how I
there you
looked
go.
when I told them they were all getting lunch detention.
That's it.
Nice.
There. Nice.
Everybody's getting lunch detention.
Amazing.
Good
That's
stuff.
awesome.
Nice.
I love it. So, where are you appearing next?
Next I am in Ripley, Mississippi this weekend with EPW.
Okay.
Oh, we got the graphic for that.
Yeah.
You got that.
Oh, I do. Yeah, hang on one sec. I'll pull that up. There we go.
There we go.
Yeah. I don't know if I'm in the street fight, but I kind of low key hope I am because that sounds fun. So I'm there this weekend, and then back at EPW for a TV taping the next weekend. Then I have, I think, a coveted weekend off before I go to New Era in Alabama.
Awesome.
Right on. Love it.
Awesome. Good stuff. This has been absolutely amazing. We thank you for joining us here at Bells and Belts. Anyone want to follow you? What's your social media?
Okay, so my social media, I have Facebook and Instagram, and they're both the same thing. They are Jodie, Jodie, just Jodie.
Sounds good. Awesome. We definitely appreciate you joining us. And sharing just a little taste of your world. So we thank you for that, and we thank everybody for tuning in this week. So, man, what if they enjoyed themselves? What do we ask of them?
Oh man, thank y'all for the comments. I know we didn't get to them all, but hey, we was enjoying this conversation.
Mhm.
But if you want to see more of us here on YouTube, you know what you got to do. You got to go ahead and like and subscribe. And when you subscribe, make sure you hit all notifications because we do more than just these 1 hour shows. We do anything related to wrestling. That is belts, live events, reviews, interviews, just like this one right here, and everything in between. Joey, what can they do on Facebook?
Send me some cash.
Yes.
Oh, sorry.
Ooh,
Yeah.
Me too.
Hey, raise your hand and some cash.
Jodie, most Jodie.
Everybody do.
Is that an option?
Yeah, put your cash app. I'm just kidding. And remember, if you take over $600 on Cash App, you'll get a letter from the IRS. Anyway, so go ahead and join our Facebook group, Bells and Belts on Facebook. You'll know you're in the right place because it's literally got our logo on it. Join now. Stop what you're doing. I don't care what you're doing. Stop now and join right now.
And also our great friends over at Champions Belt Club.
Yeah, come hang out with us over on Facebook. We do daily news, daily trivia. We have a Friday fantasy booking tournament we're doing right now, trying to figure out who the greatest TNA world champion of all time is or could have been. So come on in, drop your vote, and let us know.
Awesome, good stuff. Again, Jodie, thanks again for joining us. You've been an absolute treat.
Thank
really
y'all.
have.
It's been a blast. I've had fun.
Good stuff. Good stuff. All right, good deal.
Got to bring you back sometime for a part 2, and we'll be talking. So,
Yeah.
Absolutely. All right, send us home, Joey, or man up.
All right, I want to say thank everybody for tuning in. I hope y'all enjoyed that popcorn y'all was eating while you joined the show. Thank y'all. We'll see y'all again next week.